everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, July 7th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Friday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Atlanta Braves taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Charlie Morton and Tyler Glasnow are your starters. Charlie Morton last year really struggled on the road, but not so much this year. He's got, in 47 innings of work, a 3.06 ERA on the road, 51 strikeouts, and the big thing for me, only 1 home run allowed compared to 8 home runs allowed at Truist Park. So Morton's been great on the road this season. He has a tough matchup here. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays, one of the better lineups in baseball, but the Atlanta Braves, the number 1 lineup in baseball against righties in the last month. Glasnow's pitched well, but has struggled at Tropicana Field so far. His pitch counts usually go up, early in starts because he is a strikeout-dependent guy that can also have some control issues. The Rays don't really want to push him with his injury history, so Glasnow, I wouldn't expect him to go more than 5 innings in this game. I think the Atlanta Braves will be able to get to him for a few runs with how well they've been against righties this season and as of late. And I think the Braves have the better bullpen, the better lineup, and slightly better starter, at least matchup-wise, starting pitcher in this one. So give me the Atlanta Braves on the money line on the road. Next up, it's the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Miami Marlins. Zach Wheeler and Sandy Alcantara are your starters. Sandy Alcantara's been a disappointing year for him in 2023. We saw his last start, 4 more earned runs and 2 home runs against the Atlanta Braves. We know it's a very tough matchup for him, but he struggled against other teams as well, like the Blue Jays and Nationals back on June 21st and the 16th. 5 earned runs, 10 base hits apiece in each of those starts. It just hasn't been a great year for Sandy. The Phillies have played really good baseball on the road as of late. Zach Wheeler's been pitching a lot better as well. His ERA almost below 4 now on the season. I think the Phillies grabbed this one on the road. Give me the Philadelphia Phillies on the money line. Next up, it's the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Detroit Tigers. Alek Manoah and Alex Faedo are your starters. Both of these starting pitchers haven't pitched at the major league level in right around a month now. And Alek Manoah, it was because of his performances, in the majors. He had a 1-7 record with a 6.36 ERA in the regular season. The Blue Jays bring him down to the minor leagues to work on his game. At first, it wasn't great, but he got better as the outings went on, and now he looks like he's ready to go here. He's got a pretty good matchup against the Tigers team that has hit lefties pretty well in the last 30 days, but not so much right-handed pitchers. 24th in baseball in team OPS against righties in the last month. 17th in isolated power. The strikeout rate pretty steep at 24.6%, and the walk rate one of the lowest in baseball, 6.8%, is the second lowest. So I think Manoah pitches pretty well in this game. Faedo's first start back since May 30th. He was struggling before the injury. He's got a 5.54 ERA overall this year. I do think Toronto has the much better lineup, the better bullpen, and the better starting pitcher in this one. So give me Toronto Blue Jays on the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the New York Yankees. Jameson Taillon faces his former team, and Carlos Rodon makes his Yankee debut in this one, 7:05 Eastern at Yankee Stadium. Jameson Taillon, I do think, is better than his current ERA, but not by enough for me to take a chance here with Chicago. Taillon's got a 6.93 ERA on the season. His last 2 starts, not great. 10 innings combined against the Guardians and Phillies. 13 base hits, 9 earned runs, and 3 home runs. He's got good strikeout stuff. He's got right around a strikeout per inning this season, but he gives up a lot of sharp contact. His control can be off at times. I think the Yankees have pretty much, when you look at the numbers, they have improved offensively the last week or so. They were really struggling without Aaron Judge for about a month in the month of June, but got a little bit better towards the beginning of July. I do think they'll be able to get to Taillon. Carlos Rodon looked pretty sharp in his rehab outings, and I don't expect him to go too deep into this ball game. But the Chicago Cubs haven't done great against lefties as of late, so pretty good matchup for Rodon in his first start as a Yankee. I like the New York Yankees here on the run line at Yankee Stadium. Next up, it's the Texas Rangers taking on the Washington Nationals. Andrew Heaney and Trevor Williams are your projected starters for now, but there is no official lineup for this game, so we could see a pitching change. The Nationals do a really good job at limiting strikeouts against left-handed pitchers, against righties as well, and their numbers overall against lefties have actually been pretty good this year, but I actually still like Andrew Heaney's matchup against the Nationals. He's got a pretty good chase rate and whiff rate this season. The Nationals do chase quite a bit, and that's why they make a lot of weak contact. I do think Heaney, even if he's not missing bats and earning strikeouts, will still have a lot of success in this outing. We saw his last start against the Houston Astros. 5 innings, a very, very good Astros lineup, by the way. 5 innings, no runs, and 8 strikeouts. So, the Nationals limit strikeouts. The Astros also do a great job at not swinging and missing, and they have the lowest strikeout rate in baseball in the last 30 days against lefties. So to see Heaney have a lot of success even against that lineup has me liking his chances here on the road against Washington. And even if it's not the best outing for Heaney, I still think the Rangers bats are going to be able to back him up against Trevor Williams and this really weak Nationals bullpen. So I like the Texas Rangers here on the money line. I'd laid a little bit on the run line as well with the Rangers on the road. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Daniel Lynch and Aaron Savale are your starters. I think this is actually a pretty beneficial matchup for Kansas City here. Daniel Lynch has been good on the road this year so far. 19 innings of work, a 1.89 ERA. He's facing a Guardians team that I don't love backing when they're facing the lefty to begin with. And Cleveland in the last 30 days below average in both isolated power and well below average in team OPS against lefties. Aaron Savale, I have some regression concerns in his game. Yes, he's got that sub-3 ERA so far this year, but his control's been off at times. His strikeout number's also starting to dip now, which is a really big concern for me, a red flag in his game. 12 innings, his last 2 starts, and only 7 strikeouts to go with it. I think the Royals will be able to get to him for a few runs. I like Kansas City's chances in this game, maybe to win the game outright, but I'll take those 1.5 runs. Next up, it's the Oakland Athletics taking on the Boston Red Sox. Luis Medina going for Oakland. No official starter for the Red Sox right now. Not my favorite game on the board without, the information for Boston's starting pitcher. But if I had to lean, I would take the Red Sox on the run line. Luis Medina just hasn't been good enough for me. A 6.37 ERA. The Red Sox lineup starting to heat it up as of late. Tough spot to be in for a young pitcher like Medina at Fenway Park. Very hitter-friendly. I do think the Red Sox will be able to get to him enough to win this game and cover the run line in the end. So give me Boston laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, it's the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Minnesota Twins. Cole Irvin and Bailey Ober are your starters. I'm going to take a sneaky contrarian over in this game. You look at these two teams. They faced each other last week. They played in a pretty low-scoring series. Both of these starting pitchers pitched well in those games. Irvin, 5 innings, 1 run. Ober, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, no runs, no walks, only 2 base hits. It was one of his best starts of his career. But it is very difficult for any starting pitcher to face the same lineup twice in the matter of a week. And I do think both of these lineups are a lot better than what we saw in that series. Bailey Ober has not been as good at home as he has been on the road this year. In fact, his last 2 home starts against the Red Sox and Brewers back on June 20th and June 14th gave up a combined 4 home runs in those games. Now, I mentioned that Bailey overthrows a lot of strikes, so he doesn't walk a lot of guys, but sometimes he leaves pitches down the heart of the plate, and teams can take advantage of that. We saw that in those Red Sox-Brewers games where the home runs were there for both of those teams. So I do think Baltimore is a type of team that can make the adjustments necessary to get to Ober in this game. Cole Irvin, I like him. I backed him in that game against the Twins. He did enough for the Orioles to grab a win for me in the end, but I don't really love his game going forward, and I especially don't love him facing the same lineup twice. The Twins' offense has been red hot at Target Field. They had a really big series against Kansas City. I think they'll be able to get to Cole Irvin for quite a few runs in this game. Irvin only had 1 strikeout and had 3 walks in that start. The Twins had plenty of opportunities to score some runs in that game. He just got out of a lot of jams in that one, but I don't like his chances here. We see a low total for this game because of that low-scoring series and because both of these pitchers pitched well. I think we're getting some value on the over, so give me the over here in Baltimore, Minnesota. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to see Corbin Burnes and Andrew Abbott as the projected starters. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Reds in this game on the money line. Andrew Abbott's been so good this season. 4-0 with a 1.21 ERA. The Reds are winning a lot of his games. He's in 37 in the third innings. He's got 42 strikeouts. He's facing a Brewers team that's made some improvements against lefties as of late, but we know still a lineup that we look to fade when they're facing a left-handed starter. I think Abbott pitches well. He already faced this Brewers team at the beginning of the season in his major league debut. He went 6 innings of shutout baseball with 6 strikeouts in that one in a 2-0 Reds win. Corbin Burnes, he's got a 4.00 ERA on the season. His numbers at home haven't been great this year with a 4.27 ERA. Cincinnati's hit right into pitchers very well this year. I think they'll be able to get to Corbin Burnes for a few runs, enough to win this game in the end. So I'm going to lean towards the under and the Cincinnati Reds on the money line on the road. Next up is the Seattle Mariners taking on the Houston Astros. We're going to see Luis Castillo and Hunter Brown on the mound in this one. Now, neither of these starting pitchers have been in the best form as of late, but I do think Hunter Brown is the better option right now. Castillo's given up a lot of sharp contact lately, a lot of home runs, 6 home runs in his last 3 starts combined. He has not pitched well on the road. He's 0-4 with a 4.24 ERA in 34 innings, 8 home runs allowed. I think the Astros have the slightly better lineup, the better starting pitcher. The bullpens for both of these teams have kind of been inconsistent lately, but I like the Astros' chances at home where they played so well against the AL West in the last couple of seasons, including this year. Give me the Houston Astros on the money line. Next up is the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Chicago White Sox with Jordan Montgomery and Dylan Cease on the mound. I'm isolating this game to the first 5 innings, like the under in the first 5. Don't trust either of these bullpens, so I'm staying away from the full game. The White Sox bullpen had the doubleheader on Thursday. It hasn't been great this season. St. Louis, we saw that epic collapse against the Marlins, and it hasn't been great as of late. So just give me the under in the first 5. Montgomery's in good form. His last 5 starts, 3 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. Facing a White Sox team that last year and the years before hit lefties pretty well, but this year not so much. And in the last 30 days, that's definitely the case. Dylan Cease, his last start wasn't his best. It wasn't his worst. 5 1/3, 5 strikeouts, 3 runs. But in the month of June, he had a 2.2 ERA in 28 2/3 innings. Really good strikeout numbers, only 3 home runs allowed. I think he pitches well in the first 5 innings of this one as well. Give me the under here in the first 5 between St. Louis and Chicago. Next up, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rich Hill going for the Pirates, and no official starter for the D-backs right now. Rich Hill has been solid on the road this year. He's got a sub-4 ERA. The Diamondbacks have not hit lefties very well in the last 30 days. I'm right now leaning towards the Pirates plus the 1.5 runs on the road. We'll have to see who the official starter is for Arizona for this game, but Rich Hill's been decent for Pittsburgh this year. He's probably going to be traded at the deadline if the Pirates are indeed sellers at the deadline. And Rich Hill in the month of June, 30 1/3 innings of work, so a lot of innings, a 3.86 ERA. His strikeout numbers haven't been bad too, in recent outings, and he's not giving up a lot of sharp contact. Only 3 home runs in his last 35 innings of work. Give me the Pittsburgh Pirates plus the 1.5 runs on the road. Next up, we see the New York Mets taking on the San Diego Padres. Justin Verlander and Yu Darvish on the mound in this contest. The Mets are playing really good baseball in the month of July so far, and in prior seasons and previous years, Yu Darvish pitched really well against the New York Mets, but the first start he had against them this year was a very ugly outing for him. He gave up 5 earned runs against New York back on April 10th. It was one of the first starts of the season. 6 1/3 innings, 5 runs, and a 5-0 Mets win. Verlander's in pretty good form in his last couple of games. Now, hasn't been great on the road. That would be my one concern, but the Padres haven't been great offensively against right-handed pitchers this season. I think the Mets will be able to get to Yu Darvish here. I like the chances on the road. Give me the New York Mets on the money line. Next up, it's an interleague rivalry between the Los Angeles Angels and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Griffin Canning and Tony Gonsolin are your starters. And Griffin Canning, when you look at the final line in his last start against the D-backs, he went 6 innings, 5 runs. It looked rough on paper, gave the grand slam against Lourdes Gurriel, but he was able to settle down after, struggling in the first couple of innings. He gave the Angels some much-needed innings. He had 9 strikeouts, and he pitched pretty well in the month of June overall. 29 innings of work, a 3.41 ERA, and that's with that D-backs game counting in those numbers. So really, much better numbers if you throw out that game. It's a tough matchup here against Los Angeles. Or the Dodgers, I should say. This is a very good lineup against right-handed pitchers, but Tony Gonsolin's also not been in great form as of late. His last 3 starts, 4 earned runs, 4 earned runs, and 7 earned runs against the Giants, Astros, and Royals of all teams. All 3 of those games losses, even against Kansas City, a 9-1 loss in that game for the Dodgers. Gotta stop saying Los Angeles when they're playing against each other, but I do think that the Angels, even without Mike Trout, this has been a very good lineup against right-handed pitchers. I think they compete in this game, and we're getting a really good price with them on the road. So give me the Los Angeles Angels on the money line. And the final game for Friday's card in Major League Baseball, it's the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. No official starter for San Francisco, but we should see Austin Gomber going for the Rockies. In the beginning of the season, the Giants were not hitting lefties very well, but they have improved those numbers as of late. In the last 30 days, top 15 in WRC+. Gomber has been better on the road than he has been at Coors Field, and he's been better as of late than he has been at the beginning of the season, but I still don't love his chances here, even at a pitcher-friendly ballpark in San Francisco. I think we're going to see a pretty low-scoring game overall, but I think the Giants will be able to take it in the end, and the Rockies' bat's just not good enough on the road this season for me to take a chance with them, so give me the San Francisco Giants on the run line at Oracle Park. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in Major League Baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.